Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are Podcast. This is We Are Bagu, Season 2, Episode 6, Halocast. If this is your first time checking out the podcast network, please head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give We Are Podcast Network a like. And if you get a chance, head over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast. And with that said, on to the podcast.
We are Bagu.
Hey everybody, welcome to We Are Bagu, a video game podcast.
How we doing?
Atari to Steam and everything between. I am Duck. I am here with the Reverend Dr. Ethan Eastwood. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic, Ducko. How about yourself, buddy?
I am doing great because I'm drinking Maker's Mark, and we're about to talk a little bit of, well, we'll get there in a second. First, we have a very special guest today, Mr. K Crowe. K.
Hello. How are we doing this evening, everyone? When everyone, I mean Ethan and Duck and the peoples.
Glad to have you
right
here,
now,
man.
right now it's just you two. So
Them eventually down the line when they hear this.
of course, yes.
Doing great. As you can see, I'm holding up my Makers. As I said before, I have to drink this to dampen the pain because today we're going to be talking about Halo. Yes, this is Halocast. And I myself am not a huge fan, but that's why we have brought Kay onto this podcast, because he is the biggest fan of Halo I know. He is hands down Halo lore, Halo gameplay, Halo reading the books, Halo everything. This man can wax poetic about Halo like the Reverend Dr. Ethan Eastwood can wax poetic about Persona. So, Kay, thank you so much for being here.
Personally, I feel like I could do a full-on filibuster just talking about Halo and convince everybody in Congress just to walk out. So some people were brought into Halo. You know, I was 4 when the first one came out, but my brother is 7 years older than me and convinced my dad, like, hey, it's just aliens, it's not people, so it's okay for me to play, right? Yeah, it was, of course. So I have been playing Halo for 8/10 of my life. I realize that Sempa flies into 4/5. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to say 8/10 though. Don't worry.
You know, you just confused anyone out there that doesn't know fractions. Like, which is like 90% of people.
The drunk guy.
I got you. Duck probably
Thank
got you. But okay, so you know, 2/3 of this cast apparently knows fractions. So that means we're 9/8 fucked. So
So you were just a baby when you were brought into it. You were indoctrinated into the Halo lore. And
I was molded by it. Yeah. I started playing Halo 1, and I remembered I would only play the first 2 levels because when the 3rd level like starts branching out, it was too much for me to handle. So I would just give the controller to my brother and let him play instead.
Nice.
But I learned, I looked, I listened, and most importantly, I watched every cutscene every time until I got bored of it at like 14. You know, but for the first few years, that was like my TV was just Halo.
Non-stop. So that's why you know this lore inside and out. And the gameplay, and like you'll talk about it, be like, man, Halo 1 is hard. And you'll be like, yeah, it's not that bad. So you can play with your eyes closed, basically.
It's not as bad as Halo 2. Because like they made Halo 2 look really good for the hardware on the Xbox, but they had to dumb down the AI for it. So it's more like the AI will see you and shoot. But in Halo 1, they would like run behind cover when you were like running at them. They would do more animation, so you could kind of play with that more and just get around it easier. Plus you had the health packs and all that versus just shields dead. Jackal Sniper dead.
yeah, Halo 2, there was a lot more bullshit as far as enemies and RNG goes in that game than the first one. So it's a very sudden difficulty spike because of that, especially with the Jackal Snipers. Oh God, fuck those things, dude.
And it's almost easier on single player because for some ungodly satanic decision, they decided to have the Iron Skull on permanently co-op. So if you're with somebody else and they die, it's not just like, oh, wait till they respawn. Nope, last checkpoint.
Yeah.
Nope, last checkpoint.
Already you guys are speaking total gibberish. Real quick, let me get to Ethan. Ethan, what's your history with Halo?
I have 2 separate entry points, actually. Something kind of similar to KJ here.
KJC, baby.
KJC, baby.
Baby.
Yeah. So I was almost brought into Halo as a little kid. Almost. With my aunt's son, I remember way back when he was like, dude, I've been playing this great game called Halo. And I'm fairly certain it was Combat Evolved. And I remember he was like, okay, if you go ask your dad if you can play it, then we can go play it sometime. And I went and asked my dad, Dad, can I play Halo with Jeremy, please? And he was like, no.
Why did he say no?
I was only like 3 at the time.
You're killing aliens. What difference does it make?
Yeah.
Well, that was back when I was still playing like fucking Blue's Clues and Jimmy Neutron CD-ROM games on our fucking home computer. So that's kind of a big step up. But years later, I was first introduced to Halo actually because of my roommate, Evan. I went over to his house. We played Halo 3 on the Xbox 360, and I was fucking hooked. As soon as I was able to get my hands on an Xbox, Halo 3, Reach came out. Oh, I was all in, man. So those two, my first entry to the series, and I never looked back. So much fun.
My history with it was, I think I was graduated from high school when I first played it. I was at least 16, I think. When did the game come out? 2001?
One.
Yeah, it sounds right? 2001.
That sounds right enough.
So the first game was released, November 15th, 2001. So I was 3 years removed from being graduated. So I was an old man already. And my friend had a copy of the game. And I think the multiplayer wasn't such a big deal until the second game, or I don't think it even came along until the second game. But it wasn't the first game?
PC had online, and it also had LAN. And like the Halo Combat Evolved Custom Edition with like modding and stuff was really big. And then like I think it was supposed to be originally a PC only game until the Xbox was coming out. Like there's like a really old E3 trailer of just garbage looking Master Chief playing on the PC. So multiplayer, you're right, it was like bigger because of Xbox Live released on when Halo 2 came out.
And so that was when I initially played it, I think, was actually the second game, was the multiplayer. And I just remember getting killed a lot. And that has been my experience with Halo over and over again, where I just get killed a lot. And
you know why? It's because you'll play one game, go, fuck this shit, it's too fucking hard, and then go back to playing Super Mario Bros. 2.
Yeah, you're probably
so,
right. I mean, it's in the background. You can see it there.
Game of the year, baby.
Yeah, I'm just saying. All I'm saying is it's not the game for me, and that is why I wanted to play it now that I'm older, to see if it had any resonance with me, made me feel any way specifically about it. I've always been more of the Metroid fan. And there's always been the Metroid versus Halo. Now, obviously, Metroid 2 Echoes tried to do a multiplayer to compete with Halo, and it did not work at all.
Oh, right.
I thought it was fun.
It was
fun.
It was
no one would play it with me.
Yeah, because it was no Halo. But I think Kay said it already. Xbox Live and the multiplayer for Halo made it work, and it became its own subculture within owning an Xbox. Like, you own an Xbox, so you could play Halo 2 against other people. You know what I mean?
I miss the Halo 2 proximity chat because it was with your enemies as well. So I hate it when we work at a comedy club, when comedians go up and talk about cancel culture. These people wouldn't survive 2 fucking minutes in a Halo 2 SWAT game. It's ridiculous.
This guy gets it.
They're mean.
Do you know how many little kids told me that they fucked my mom?
It was me. Are you kidding me?
You know how many times Kay told me that he had fucked my mom? He's right, though. That carried over all the way through Halo 3, ODST, Reach, and a little bit into 4 and 5, I guess. But all the way up through Reach. Oh, dude. There was so much shit talking. Like, just racist, homophobic, you name it. Anything out there. If it was a fucking insult, you were called that when you actually did something useful in Halo.
I was called a squeaker by someone who I would consider one of my best friends. I met him on Xbox when I was like 13. And I had the highest pitch voice. I was like, hey guys, I'm like, oh, fuck you, doggo, you piece. And
Yeah.
I came on,
Squeakers.
I didn't talk to him for like 3 years. And I came on, I'm like, hey, Doggo, what's up? He goes, what is this?
Holy shit. Your balls dropped. Oh, God.
Well, that's what's interesting too about the friend culture. We talked about that when we talked about our Call of Duty Zombies cast. The culture of creating friends from across the world on multiplayer is real. Like there's people that you guys probably still talk to this day, or at least friends with on Facebook that you played Halo with back in the day, or whatever multiplayer game. It can actually tear down those boundaries of, you know, the different states or even countries that you live
Distance becomes non-existent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was a point in time, probably last half of middle school all the way up through high school. We had not only like a good group of say 10 people from our city where we were living that would hop on at the same time every day. And we had kind of created this whole group of probably about 20, maybe 25 people that were from all over, you know, a couple people from Europe or something, UK guys, they'd hop on later in the evening. We had a couple of our friends from like Pennsylvania, New York. Yeah, distance was not a thing when it came to Halo. It was the same Forge world, the same multiplayer maps. Everyone would hop in and we would just fuck around for, you know, an entire evening. And it was fantastic. These people that you would never otherwise talk with or converse with and get to know, they become, you know, like family. It's
Kay's
awesome.
having nostalgia down there. What,
So one
He
thing
gets
that
it.
one thing that hit me when you said that, when you said the local group, I went to the high school down here in Dallas, and we had an information commons with a bunch of laptops. And my freshman year, someone had brought in a zip drive with Halo Combat Evolved Custom Edition and just gave it to everyone. So. Yep. So whether or not we'd finished our essays in English class and we were on those computers, or there was someone down in the information commons or someone on their laptop, you would just have a server of like 32 people all online, all playing Halo at the same time. And it was awesome. It was so great.
It's funny you mentioned that. That exact same thing happened in my high school. Is somehow, you know, a link got out or a zip file of custom edition, and you could log on at any computer throughout the entire school, and there would be at least 10 different games going, all of them just about full with students from across the campus. And it was fantastic until the IT guy got wise and they started shutting that shit down. But, you know, fuck them.
The other thing that earlier happened, you guys started going into the lingo of Halo. You guys started talking about iron skull shields or something like that. This game has so much lore to it, so much world building, that it becomes its own conversation amongst fans of it. So what are, like me and Ethan, we went to Retropalooza a couple years ago, and Ethan's showing me the guns from Halo that are on the thing, and he's trying to explain to me why it's so cool. And I'm like, I don't get Halo. But you remember that, Ethan, you were like, this is this, and this is that, and this is this kind of gun. And
yeah, this is cool because this.
Yeah.
I remember.
And I wanted to be indoctrinated. I felt like I was left out. I've always felt that way when it comes to people who love Halo, because you speak a common language when it comes to the game. And there's not many video game franchises like that. So when people love this, they get so wrapped up into it. So what is it about these games that creates that for you guys specifically?
I think like one of the biggest things in Halo was just the fact that in the first two, the Master Chief was like a fill-in protagonist, like an insert yourself here, and that really drew in a lot of people initially. And then when you start fleshing out his backstory, when you start going into it, people really get more attached to the person they are, the person they became throughout these games. And then they really, I think in Halo 3, like the terminals kind of got people into the lore, because they're like, who the hell is writing these? Is there any explanation to this? And it's like, yeah, you gotta look a little deeper. And it's like, all right, fine. And it just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Intrigues you. It really does want to draw you in and want to make you explore every inch of the map, even though the game is telling you to go from point A to point B. There's so many places to look, and you want to look for more.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Kay. I mean, when you get into the stuff like, especially all the terminals and stuff that start talking about the Forerunners and their battles against the Flood, why they made the Halo rings, stuff like that, It's insane how deep this lore goes. Whether it actually is that deep or if it's just, at the time, "Ooh, this sounds cool." That's up for debate, I'm sure. But the way it appears from the surface is it's an ocean of stuff, and it's incredible. It's really hooks you in and makes you want to dive deeper. For
I'm
sure.
gonna be real. It took me 6 full books to finally understand the terminals in Halo 3. I went,
exactly.
oh.
I mean, it's a lot. I was watching lore videos earlier today, and like they go back and back and back in the time, and they're dealing with God type creators and clones and decimations of entire universes, and what the Halo itself is, which the Halo is just a giant self-destruct.
It's a reset button, dude.
Yeah, and I mean
that's all it is.
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah.
Let me just power this down and start it back up again. Universe restart.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it was so bizarre, and that's what the first 3 games kind of focus on. Correct? Is that storyline and the idea that the Halo can decimate the entire universe, and that the one faction of what is the enemy, the Covenant?
The Covenant, the alliance between all the different alien races. They're wanting to fire off
alliances.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Forced in slavery is the proper
religious
term.
Slavery.
Yeah.
And there's 2 alien races specifically that are important, right? It's the
Sangheili are the elites.
6 or 7, aren't there?
So the Sangheili, the elites, they're like the protectors of the Covenant for thousands of years. Blah blah blah. They were the first recruited by the San Shayum. I'll get into them later. The San Shayum are those prophets that have like the cool headdresses and the weird long necks and the long ears. Truth, mercy, regret, all them. They essentially are their protectors. They're like, hey, we found all these ancient relics. They're super powerful. We can show you how to use them. And we're going to try and go to where this ancient race of great beings went, called the Forerunners. And they're like, oh, there's an ancient race of great beings. Cool, we'll help you guys. And then they took over the Ungoy and the grunts and jackals. I wanted to sound smart and say their real names, but I forgot them halfway through. I'm sorry.
You're already league smarter than both me and him on the lore. I don't know their actual names. I know what I call them when I shoot them.
Yeah,
that's about
it. Which is die, fuckers, die.
Grunt. Yay!
Oh, that's my favorite sound. It's the most satisfying sound in any
so
game.
It's so good.
Pop.
So you have the alien, but the big one is you have, like you said, the long necks. That's what
the prophets. Yes,
the prophets, and then you have the weird like predator guys with the 4 mandible mouths, like
the elites.
The elites. Okay, and that's when the games kind of get into it. In the second game, you follow one specific elite called the Arbiter. Is that right?
Correct. He was the commander of the fleet that followed the Pillar of Autumn onto Halo. So he had led the fleet to Reach, started glassing that, saw the Pillar of Autumn flee, and they're like, we're not letting that ship escape. So they jumped through the different portals that it was jumping through. And then it's like, did we lose them? And it's like, I don't know. Maybe we could lose them on that. It's like, what the hell is that? It's like, it's a Halo, I guess. Well, they found out it was a Halo later. I'm paraphrasing.
It's fine. No, I followed you because they're just like, they crash land basically on that bad boy.
I didn't finish. I did finish, but because the Master Chief succeeds and he destroys the Halo, the prophets are like, you were in charge of following them and stopping them. You were the one that found this great Forerunner technology and let it be destroyed. You're a heretic. We're going to brand you as a heretic and demote you from your position. Then they like talk to him in secret. They're like, we know you're not really a heretic. This dude's just insane. He's really good at his job.
We just kind of wanted to put on a show, so we're cool, right?
That's it. And they're like, no, we're gonna just use you for our gain. And so they sent him to take care of a real heretic on the original Halo, and that's when you play as the Arbiter.
And you do get to play as the Arbiter in the second game, is that right?
Yes. You get worse armor than everyone else's, so you have like a limited invisibility, which is really bullshit. I just think they wanted to throw that in for gameplay's sake. This is a rant. This isn't any part of lore.
Go off, dude. Go off.
It's so annoying because of the first level, you can almost time it perfectly to just like invisible, kill, hide, invisible, kill, hide, and that's how you want to beat it. But the timing is just never there, and those little fucking robots that fly around aren't on your team right now, but they become on your team later. A lot of bullshit. Anyways, yeah, you play as the Arbiter on the original Halo, but I want to explain why the Prophet of Regret went to Earth. I'll explain that in the books part later. But he goes to Earth and he's like, oh shit, I didn't realize humans were here. I'm skedaddling. So he skedaddles and they're like, all right, Master Chief, go after him. And so he goes after them and they go to another Halo that they had already found. That is Delta Halo, and it's a lot smaller.
And there's multiple Halos, right? There's like 7 of them.
There are
13?
7. There are 7 currently. There were 13 and then one like Zeta Halo. And it was just like the biggest one. It was like there as like a prototype basically.
Okay.
And then a bunch of them, 6 of them got destroyed when a Forerunner attacked a Forerunner. I'm putting that in quotes because this is for book section.
Gotcha.
And so the Arbiter is kind of like a frenemy by the end of the 3rd game. Is that correct? Like they decided to kind of.
He's a full-on ally in Halo 3.
Yeah,
Like,
I would say he's a frenemy by the end of the 2nd game because verbatim, you don't like me and I sure as hell don't like you. But if we don't stop Mr. Mohawk, then he's going to activate this ring and we're all going to die. So like they kind of realize like if we don't stop this, like if we don't work together right now, we're all going to die.
So we got to get into real quick Master Chief and why everyone loves Master Chief. I like what you said earlier, Kay. He's a placeholder for the actual player. He is just your avatar.
He is
in the
you.
game. And that's why he's the faceless entity or a faceless man. You never see. I don't think he ever takes off the helmet, does he? In any of the games?
He takes off the helmet, but you never see his face.
You don't see his face.
So
you see like his eyes, and it's like cool. He has blue eyes. We knew that.
and so Master Chief is a clone. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
He's an orphan. So Dr. Catherine Halsey was the head of research development at the Office of Naval Intelligence, like kind of like the CIA, but like on a galactic scale. And she had started a project originally called Orion, where she wanted to create super soldiers. Didn't really work because she started with adults and like adults are like fully formed. And she goes, okay, well, why don't I start sooner? Because that's always healthy. And so she kidnaps a bunch of orphans. One orphan in particular, she actually chose like specifically because he was lucky. Like she knew who he was beforehand. There's a theory that it's her son, blah, 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 blah. Anything. That's why Cortana loves him as like a child, is because Halsey's. She thinks he's lucky. He is lucky. He's really lucky. And so she chooses him. And that's John 117. It's just this orphan kid from Reach. It's his home planet. Take him in. They indoctrinate them with military training and drugs to enhance their bone mass.
Surgeries. Like they go through fucking torture to become these Spartans, man. And what you might know this exactly. It was what Spartans generation 1, 2, and 3. All of them were kidnapped kids.
Spartan Generation 1 was the Orion project, I believe. So those were the adults.
Yeah.
So, and then 2 was the kids. And of the like 140 kids, like you said, it was really dangerous. They go through hell. I think only like 70 of them survived. Yeah. And only 40 of them actually made it to active duty. It was a really like small percentage. The 3s were kidnapped, flash cloned, and then they put the flash clones back in place of the kidnapped kids.
Kept the real one, put the clones back.
Yeah, and then because they're flash clones, they kind of had like shitty body parts, so they just died.
Yeah.
And then it's like, great, all of these kids are dead, and these parents don't know why. One guy figures out like, oh, this is a story, and I'm not really going to talk about it because I haven't read it, but it's a cool concept. Some guy figures out that like, oh wait, the Navy is doing this. What if that's what happened to my daughter? And he becomes an insurrectionist against the UNSC, and then his daughter is sent as the Spartan team to take him down. I haven't read the book. It's called Kilo 53. Read it. I want to read it too.
That sounds really interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
Then the Spartan 4s, good idea. They actually just recruited people that wanted to be Spartans. So like kids that like didn't have parents, or like ODSTs that wanted to like try and make it to the next level. I believe Buck from ODST becomes a Spartan 4, and that's why he's in Halo 5.
Spartan 4 was a lot more they had the process refined that point, and very much more ethical. Yes.
Just go with that.
A lot less parents devastated because they're missing and or suddenly dead children.
So are the Spartans bigger than other people? Like
They
they're
tower over people, don't
That's what I
they?
was wondering.
I think
They're
the
augmented,
tallest the tallest Spartan was Sam, and he was like 7'4" without his armor.
Okay,
And like the
Yeah.
Master Chief is like 7'2" with his armor.
right on. That's what I
They're
was. I
fucking
noticed.
giants.
I noticed that earlier when I was watching something. I was like, they look a lot bigger. I was like, I think that plays into this because, like I said, I know nothing about the lore because I played the first game about halfway through, and I didn't realize that you had to find different like lore data centers or something like that in the game. I had no idea they existed until Kay told me about it.
They didn't actually. They didn't exist until the anniversary when they were like, we have actually expanded the lore and we want people to find it in the game. So it explains it in the anniversary. There's like little cutscenes about the Forerunners, but the actual information came out in the books while that game came out. So it's just like, oh, here's a snippet, buy our product.
Oh,
But in
okay.
reality-
So it was a little bit
They-
product placement. In it.
They were trying to hype up before Halo 4, weren't they? That was when they were going deeper into the Forerunner and
Yep, that's a-
Requiem, I think it was.
Requiem was the Didact actually built that world to be one of the defenses against the flood. It's completely armored, so like nothing could get in it unless they want it to. That's why there's that scanner that scans your ship, makes sure it's clean, and then brings it in. It was just like another one of the solutions that he could have created to stop the flood if they didn't go with the Halos.
Yeah, if they didn't go with the nuclear option.
And we didn't even talk about the flood. The flood are a separate entity altogether that are parasitic creatures, correct?
Yep.
Yes, they're. Do we want to get into the book section?
Go for it. Kay.
Get it, man. This is your time to
Oh.
rant. Do it.
All right. So the reason why, first off, Forerunners are gone was because of the flood, but it's also because of humanity. Humanity 50,000 years ago was just as powerful as the Forerunners were. They were spacefaring, they had multiple colonies, they had just tons of infrastructure, slip space travel, everything. The Forerunners were in charge of this thing called a Mantle of Responsibility, a way to protect all of life and make sure that the universe is safe from threats. They initially saw humanity just glassing these planets, and they're like, what the hell? And then they started glassing Forerunner planets, just like on the very edge of their colonies. And they're like, this is unacceptable. We're going to fight you guys full force. Humans had kind of stopped glassing at this point, but then the Forerunner came in, killed or stopped them, and basically transmitted all of their brain data into AI data so it could be transferred along from generation to generation. The only reason humanity wasn't wiped out was because of this lady called the Librarian. She was this very kind Forerunner who only wanted to protect life. She wanted to uphold the mantle and make sure that every life was protected, blah, 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 lore. And she saved all of these datas and put them into the brains of humans she had kept and released them onto different planets. One of them was called Erda Tyrene, a blue marble third rock from a sun in the Milky Way galaxy. It sounds a little familiar, huh? Yeah. At the same time, they had realized that the humans weren't destroying these planets for funsies. They were killing themselves. There were humans on these planets too, and on those Forerunner planets. So like, well, why would they do that? Oh, there was something else. This spore was just popping up on those planets that they didn't finish glassing and started overtaking Forerunners. It was the flood. I'm cutting out like 3 books of detail here to paraphrase for you guys.
Oh yeah, no, you're doing a great job breaking this down.
Thank you.
So
Starts taking them over, and they're like, oh no, we have no way to defeat this. So 3 very important Forerunners are at the like very top of the hierarchy. There's a Librarian, the Life Giver, the Didact, the Promethean, and then the Master Builder, the World Builder. They're just all 3 like, you know, building worlds, fighting, and life. Very, very central ideals. All of them in charge of a different section of Forerunner ideology. And they come together, they're like, how can we do this? The Didact's plan was the Shield Worlds, Requiem, and others like it. I think there's 2 more that were actually built other than Requiem. There's only like 3 or 4. The Master Builder's ideas were the Halos. He was like, we can't do the Halos. That's going to kill everything. He's like, well, I don't care what you think. I'm going to frame you for something, and then you're going to go leave in disgrace and seal yourself away for 10,000 years. He does that. During those 10,000 years, the librarian and the master builder create these halos. The librarian only agrees to do this if she can keep samples of every single species and release them onto the halos so that they can live. So like after they go off, they can recreate them and then start repopulating slowly. And he's like, all right, fine. So that's why there's like terrain, fauna, and like even some animals on the halos and shield worlds and stuff. Where was I going with this? Correct. So after 10,000 years have passed, and this like super low life forerunner is born. He's supposed to be a builder, but he doesn't like that. He's like, I want to be a treasure hunter. Fuck that. And his parents are like, you're a disgrace. Go to this family to learn discipline. So he goes to that family, and they're like, you'll learn discipline here. And he goes, okay. And he stows away on a ship, and he goes to Tyrene, the planet with the humans. And he's like, I've heard that there was some technology here. I want to find it. And these two humans, Chakas and Riser, are like, okay, cool. You could come with us, and we'll lead you to a place that our ancestors have been talking to us about. And he goes, how are your ancestors talking to you? And they're like, it just happens. And he's like, okay, whatever. They don't really mention that until later on. They keep going, and they find this forerunner place in Hawaii. And they're like, how long has this been here? He goes, it has to have been here for at least 10,000 years. Okay, well, let's go check it out. Goes in. There's a lot of traps. The two humans are like, you are the only person that could go any farther. If we go any farther, we'll die. And he's like, how do you know? And he's like, because people have died. He goes, okay, that's fair. He goes in, and he activates it. Bunch of things start spinning. Sand empties out, and there's a body lying there. And he resurrects the body. What do you know? It's the Didact. And he activates his cryptum, and he rehydrates him, and he comes out of this stasis. And he goes, what the hell's happened? Where are we? We're on Elder Tyrene. I'm with these two humans. He's like, how the fuck are humans alive? Gets really mad about that. Gets really mad about the Forerunner abandoning his stuff. Gets really pissed that the librarian, his wife, plot twist, and the master builder are doing these halos against his will, decides to go out against him. Forerunners have this weird thing where they can imprint their memories into someone else. So he does it to the young Forerunner, and he makes two Didacts, Didact and Isodidact. Completely irrelevant to the end of the story. The first one that I talked about is the one that you fight in Halo 4. They really just created this other guy just for this book. Completely irrelevant. Anyways, after a while, they come across the librarian. They say, you can't do this. You're going to wipe out everyone. Why don't we just go with the Shield World plan? It's like, too late. We've already activated one. Where did you activate it? Oh, on this planet over here. They go to the planet, and it's called Sharam Hakur. It's a planet where ancient humans and ancient San Shayum, the prophets, used to like trade and do commerce. Quick tidbit, just wanted to say this, completely off topic. Apparently, according to these books, the San Shayum used to be blessed with eternal youth and fertility. They used to fuck. I stole that from Brian David Gilbert.
Hey everyone, it's just Duck jumping in here real quick to say thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you're enjoying it, head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give We Are Podcast Network a like. And if you get a chance, head over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast. And with that, back to the podcast.
They go there, and it's completely devastated. A halo just wiped it out. And they're like, well, let's go see what's in the ruins. And they see these primordial ruins, precursor ruins from before the humans and before the Forerunner, from billions of years ago. And they're damaged. They say, was this damaged when the humans came here? And the two humans with them are like, no, this is supposed to be sealed. This isn't like, this is an evil place. Because like the ancestors are talking to them in their brains. And they go, then did something get out? Yeah, something got out.
Yeah.
Something real important got out. Ethan, do you have an idea of what it could be?
Would that happen to be spores from the flood? Or perhaps even worse, a fully formed flood?
A fully formed flood? Why, you must mean a grave mind.
Unfortunately, I do.
It was actually known as the primordial. It was the very last precursor ever to live. Precursors existed to create humans and forerunners, created the forerunners first, granted them that mantle of responsibility that they held in such high regard, and then created the humans. And they believed that the humans were more perfect beings than the forerunners. So they wanted the humans to inherit the mantle of responsibility. The ancient forerunners did not like that. So they sealed away that precursor and then killed the rest. Humans came across that precursor, found him, learned the truth, and were like, oh shit, we're supposed to inherit the mantle. But this prisoner was like, no, not anymore. You killed all of my race and then sealed me up for millions of years. No. We're taking revenge. The spores of the flood are just the scattered dust remains of the rest of the precursors wiped out from the forerunners. And they've slowly been taking over different animals to like increase their strength. And so humans were like, oh, why don't we just use this on like our dogs and our cats? And it'll make them stronger and faster. And it did. And then it started infecting them. And they started getting stronger and faster and just amalgamating into grave minds. And then those took over worlds, which took over more worlds and blah, 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 blah. Had to wipe it. Humans figured this out and were like, oh, crap, we're all going to die. Bam. And a lot of them just straight up just killed themselves, except for one doctor. She's like, no, I think I have a way to stop this. Unfortunately, she sacrifices a third of humanity to do it. She puts a genetic variant in every single human and just keeps tweaking it across all of these colonies. And so that's why they were glassing their own, was because those are the ones that unfortunately got infected until they found the genome that would not infect them and then gave it to every other human. Humans, most of them are immune to the flood. They cannot get infected unless like you don't have this genome. The reason why they don't have the genome anymore is because, you know, forerunners wiped all of them out. The librarian could only save a few. Only a few of them had the genome. Guess which one? Sergeant Johnson, baby. That's why he survived Halo 1. Some people said it was plasma damage. I don't know if that's true. I'm going with my theory because I think I'm right. They go back and go, okay, this flood is infecting all of these people. We have to stop it. Maybe the Halos are the right way to do it. Original Didact is like, no, we can't do the Halos. They're going to just wipe out all of us. We can't wipe out Forerunner history. We have a mantle of responsibility to uphold. ISO Didact, the new one, and the Librarian are like, it's not even ours. It's humanity's. We're not supposed to hold it. And he's like, I can't let this go. So the Librarian shoots him, stuns him, and seals him away in that like ball thing you see in Halo 4. That's like the satellite. It's a cryptum. It's like supposed to just keep him shriveled up and in stasis for as long as it takes.
Eternity.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the Covenant, or the remnants of the Covenant, are like, hey.
wakey.
What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
So
that's literally how that game goes. Just, I want to poke it. Oh no.
Shouldn't have done that.
My bad.
I think you've hit almost all the lore that I watched today. That is insane. But I know there's some left. But
there's a bunch he's skipping over too.
Yeah, I know.
This is the Spark Notes version.
Yeah, I skipped over Mendicant Bias. I skipped over
but it's been a good like you've been.
This has been engaging, man. This is like this is stuff like I didn't even know. I didn't have a clue about most of this.
But go ahead and finish. So do they end up using the Halos?
I just want to say, like, last thing, like, yeah, she seals them away. They use the Halos and it wipes out everyone. But she still wanted to save those two humans that had helped her. So she gets one of them, takes his memories and implants it into an AI. This AI becomes 343 Guilty Spark. The monitor of installation.
I knew you were going to fucking say it.
The bad guy, right? Of the first.
I hate Guilty Spark so much.
I think it was the second book. The second book tells the whole story from like his perspective, and I didn't want to like him, but I was like, God, it's such a tragic story, and I really do feel bad for the guy. He just wanted to make some money and trick this Forerunner into like, ooh, ancient treasure, haha, now it's mine, and he gets taken across the universe and becomes a ball with a laser face. It's unfortunate.
And Guilty Spark is the bad guy of the first game and kind of becomes an ally, but not really in the second game. Is that right?
He's present in all three. You may confuse the what was his name? Not Mendicant Bias. Penitent Tangent, the red one in Halo 2. He was just the monitor of that installation, but a grave mine had already taken over that installation and taken him over as well. Is he present in Halo 2? Ah, yes, at the very end he floats down. Sorry, I'm yeah.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I should have played it. But he does like claim to help you, and he does help you sort of, but it's to meet his own goal, and his own goal is to fire the Halo rings. It's not really that like he's your enemy. It's just like that's what he's programmed to do. When there's a flood outbreak, fire the rings. He doesn't think any other way can control it except for, blowing them all up.
And who was the other human?
Riser, he was like they were described kind of like hobbits. They would live for like hundreds of years, and they were just kind of like tiny little folks, but they understood how like the world worked a lot better. And I believe he just was released onto Zeta Halo. Like I said, Zeta Halo was like the really big one. It had the flood lab testing. It had all those humans on it. And it was the one that activated at Sharam Hakur and destroyed the precursor technology and the precursor prison. So he's on that Halo when the book ends. But again, could just be they throw in a data log in Halo Infinite about him, or there's Riser's camp, which is just like a little shack that he had up. And I'm very hyped to see how they do the open world Halo. Is it going to be ODST? Is it going to be?
I really think it's going to be done very well. A lot of the videos and stuff they've shown with the new Halo, it looks really, really fucking cool. Being able to just kind of bounce around in warthogs and mongooses, banshees and shit, flying from one end of the Halo to the other. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Well, we hit that lore hard for the books. We didn't really get into the games, though. Like the lore of the games, what is going on? The battle between the human element, the Spartans, and the Covenant. And the first 3 games is basically a story about an insurrection from within the Covenant, correct? The Arbiter becomes the insurrector, and he goes against themselves, and then there's other factions within it. But like, what are the details of the game specifically, lore-wise, that you would?
So the interesting thing about it is that it'll take you, like, if you wanted to play Halo 1 through 3 solo legendary, it'll take you probably about a week to do it, and that's probably about as long as the games take place. Like in between like Halo 2 and the end of Halo 3 is not as long as people think. First Halo is, of course, you're trying to escape from Halo Reach. You find this weird ring, land on it. Covenant also land on it. They release the flood because they're like, ooh, Forerunner buttons. Press it. They get taken over because they don't have the genome to protect them against it. And then it mutates, gets humans as well, spreads across. They're like, all right, we got to detonate this ring. Get the fuck out. They detonate the ring and they GTFO. And then he gets the medal. He just gets back to Earth, gets the medal. And at the same time, the Prophet of Regret is trying to find some Forerunner technology that happened to be on Earth. Now, what kind of Forerunner technology was on Earth earlier? Oh, that's right. It's the Didax Cryptum. But that's not it. They were looking also for a portal to the Greater Ark. So Regret comes in just because all he knows is that there's Forerunner technology on this planet. He does not expect humans to be there at all. So when he gets there and meets the full force of the UNSC protecting the home planet of Earth with like 30 ships instead of like 4,000, he gets decimated. So he tries to just like go down to planet and just like see if he can find it and activate it before they kill him. He can't. So he's like, all right, I'm going to bug out of here real quick and go to a place where we do have control, another Halo that we found. Goes to the portal, and the Master Chief is like, all right, I'm going to follow him. He goes to the portal as well. That's when you play as the Arbiter, and the prophets say, he regrets doing this thing. We need you to go down and take care of a real heretic on the OG Halo. He goes to the OG Halo to take care of the real heretic. Kills him, but he also finds 343 Guilty Spark. He is in this.
Yep.
Go ahead, Kay.
You're having to open some deep archives there, buddy. So you're fine.
You're killing it.
My favorite.
You're killing it.
My favorite. I totally forgot that. He is in it. he finds 343, and 343 is like, why did you kill this one? He's the only elite that actually listened to what I had to say. And he's like, what do you mean? He goes like, well, there's a flood outbreak. We got to activate the rings. He goes, oh, well, we found another ring. We can activate it.
We have a Halo back home. Do you want to just use that?
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, sure, take me with you. And then Tartarus, the big old gravity hammer guy, comes and takes him. And he's like, thanks. He's like, why did you take him like he was a soccer ball? Why didn't you just like let him come with us? He was already willing to come with us. He goes, I don't want you talking to him. He's like, all right, that's fair. Then it goes back to the Master Chief. He goes to the Delta Halo where the Prophet of Regret is. But that's also where the city of High Charity is, like this big old Covenant fortress. He's like, I'm not fighting that. Let's just go on to the Halo and lay low there for a while, because that's where the Prophet of Regret is going. Goes the Prophet and kills him. That's 3 levels right there. So he just looks for him and he kills him. Then like the Holy Covenant city of High Charity appears. They're like, all right, he's killed our Prophet. Fuck it. Why don't we just glass this part of the Halo? There's plenty of Halo left, and kill him for sure. And he's like, oh, crap. And so he runs and jumps into the water while they're blasting laser beams at him. But if you'll remember, I said earlier, Halo 2 was already controlled by a grave mine. So it just takes him and says, don't worry, you're not dying here. I still need you.
And that's the big monstrous creature, correct?
Yeah.
With the big old mouth.
They did such a good job in the new animations. It looks so terrifying.
It's nasty. It's nasty.
So like the grave mine gets him, and then Arbiter is also on Halo now, but he's looking for the library. The library is where the key is held to activate the Halo. And so he's going there, finds these 2 humans, Johnson, my boy, and then Miranda Keys, my girl, rip, getting the key. They get the key, and it's like, cool, we got it. And he starts fighting them. They lose, and he's like, all right, I got the key. And then Tartarus comes in, he goes, yeah, but I don't care about you, and knocks him off and tries to kill him, betrays him and betrays the elites. He's like, the prophets ordered me to do this. You're no longer needed for this great journey. So the elites have been betrayed, and he gets thrown down. And then the grave mine is like, ooh, another pawn, grabs him and is like, you're not dying here either.
Yep.
Cutscene happens, and essentially the grave mine just plays with them like dolls and makes them kiss.
So he's got Master Chief, he's got the Arbiter, and
he's like, fight. He's like, no fight, kiss.
Kiss.
And he brings out the prophet that the Master Chief killed and brings out the other monitor. It's like, hey, monitor, what's the purpose of this Halo? And it's like, oh, it's to wipe out all living beings. Oh, hey, prophet, what is the reason for your great journey? What are you doing? Oh, we're doing to do what the Forerunners did. What happened to the Forerunners? They all died. So this is just a lie. Yeah, this is all a lie. And he just like, you're going to have to stop this ring or we're all going to die. You're going to have to go stop the other prophets or they're just going to fire the other rings and everything's going to die. And he sends the Arbiter to go stop Tartarus, and he sends the Master Chief to go stop the prophets. Master Chief is late. He sends him too late. He's just like, all right, fine. I guess I'll just go follow that prophet who's taking that ship to Earth and stop him because I can't stop the key from turning. I'll trust the Arbiter. Arbiter's like, okay, fine. I'll stop the key from turning. They stop it, but it doesn't completely stop it. It just sends it into like a standby mode. And it's like, it's ready to fire, just not from here. And it's like, okay, from where? And it goes, oh, that arc? You know, that thing you were trying to get to from Earth, that portal? Yeah, that's where you have to get it from. They're like, cool, back to Earth. Thankfully, the Chief is already on that ship going back to Earth. So he's there. Halo 3 starts.
Keep going, Kay. You got this.
I feel like I'm hogging the camera.
No, dude,
this is
great.
Like,
Okay.
you don't understand. They're like, when I did Persona Cast, I went off for probably a good like 45 minutes or so.
I do.
So
no,
this is your time, man.
No,
you have
I asked-
enraptured us.
I asked for the lore of it, and you were just like, I got this. And
You are
just like, oh,
delivering,
yeah,
my
dude.
man. So we got one more Halo to go through. Tell us the story of Halo 3. Let's go.
So the ship's going on to Earth, and there's actually a really cool comic that like Marvel did that just describes the Master Chief kicking ass inside of a Covenant ship for like 3 hours. He just kills Covenant after Covenant, and he's like, all right, time to get out of here. And then he breaks his side panel and jumps out of it from orbit. So like, you know, in Halo 3, the little like the ship's falling down, you see the little thing falling on under it. He's just falling on a sheet of metal, jumps out, locks his armor up, completely safe, lucky as shit. There's that luck coming in. He wakes up, and I'm sure both of y'all have probably seen the clip where like he pulls the gun onto the Arbiter because he still doesn't know that the humans and the elites are working together. All he knows is Covenant bad, must kill. Gets down, and now they're deciding, all right, where do we go from here? There's a huge Covenant invasion. That ship that the Master Chief came on just brought another fleet of Covenant forces, and Earth is being lost. We got to do something. But Miranda and Johnson are like, we need to forget about Earth. If we leave Earth and go fight our main front on the Ark, we can survive. And that's all that really matters, is that we like survive. And the head of Naval Command is like, I can't do that. I'll let you go and you can take the elites. And it's like, you don't really control them, but thanks. So they go in and they go onto the Ark and they find the control room. They figure out that like, oh, the Prophet's in this shield over here. If we detonate these 3 parts of the shield, we can go in, stop him from activating all the Halo rings. So that's when the Covenant starts. Favorite level in Halo 3, got that dope ass piano coming in as the ships fly over the water, landing on the beach, storm in the front, go in, shut down the shield. You get a tank, start just blowing shit out of the air.
Tank beats everything.
Tank beats everything. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that you're here, Ethan.
Oh yeah.
Finally, the Chief and the Arbiter, they get to the Prophet with the help of the Flood. It's like, we need to stop him. We need to get him. And the Arbiter gets his revenge, sticks a sword at the Prophet of Truth, kills him, lays him out. Now the Flood are like, okay, our turn now. And then they turn on him, obviously. And so the Gravemind turns on the Master Chief, and it's like, we need to get out of here, but we need to activate this ring somehow. We need Cortana. Oh, she sent me a message on where she is. She's on the original Halo, or she's on High Charity, which is on Halo. All right, let's go. I hate that level. Dumb level. Get her.
It's a horrible level. It's so bad.
Really interesting lore because of the terminal in there. It's not actually all the rest of the terminals are written by an AI called Mendicant Bias. He was one of the AIs that was crafted to be like this massive naval intelligence for the Forerunners. He talked to that primordial and Sharam Hakur, and he like put him in a logic loop that corrupted him. And so he like went insane and turned on the Forerunners. And then he sent 6 of the Halos to attack the Forerunner homeworld. And that's why we lost 6 of them. And blah, 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 blah. But the terminal in Cortana was actually written by her. And it was just like memories of her being corrupted slowly. So if people complain about Halo 5 or Halo 4, why is she corrupted? A Gravemind talked to her. You can't really blame him. You get Cortana. She's like, oh, thank God I have someone I could talk to that isn't insane. And she gets a little sane. They activate the first Halo, which is currently being rebuilt on the Ark because, you know, it's to replace it. It was destroyed. It needs another one. But because it's not finished being built, it doesn't really work fully. All it does is just destroy everything on the Ark and the Halos and the Flood next to it. So they're like, let's get on a slit space portal out of here, blow this up, wipe out everything at once. Boom.
And that's how the third game ends?
That is how the third game ends. Half of you makes it through, and the other half is like, I'm stuck in deep space for 4 years.
Chief and Cortana get stuck in deep space at the end of Halo 3, and that was the biggest cliffhanger at the time, because I did not think we were going to get another Halo game, especially after Reach came out. And, you know, when Bungie said, this is it, I was like, okay, I can live with that. That's fine. That is a badass ending to the story.
And Reach is a precursor game, correct? It takes place before the first game.
Right before Halo 1. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. The reason why the ship in Halo 1 was like fleeing this Covenant fleet was because they were getting away from Halo Reach. So you know it's like a tragic tale going into it.
Oh god!
By the way, can we get a round of applause for K and his fucking lore?
You just did like the best deep dive into Halo lore from beginning to Halo 3.
Yeah, and the thing,
perfect.
And what was also wonderful was I followed all of it, and
that's what I'm really glad about. I wanted to make it like if it's just understandable because I know it's just a lot of verbal garbage being thrown at you.
Right. Not really, because I have some of these books. I haven't read them. I've just kind of been like, oh, this sounds like a cool story. This sounds like a cool story. And now I kind of, I want to just like end this right here and go start reading them again. Because these are stories I want to know more about. It's so interesting, dude.
And on the surface, I personally didn't realize how in depth this is. And this is why I wanted to bring Kay on this cast, because he would start talking about it at work and I'd be like, what? Like there's this and there's that, and like I thought it was just a military game, and like there's like when you get into
it started out as just that. It started out as something simple with little seeds of lore planted here and there, and it grew into that.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I think the first books released after Halo 2, like they didn't really they mentioned Reach in a cutscene of Halo 1 as just like a passive throwaway line, and then they're like, oh, we can make something out of this.
Yeah. Well, we're already an hour in. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Let's break down the actual games, meaning gameplay. That's where I struggle because I suck at Halo and I'm terrible at the techniques of the gameplay. Kay said it earlier, because in the second game you have to shoot and then dodge and then hide and then. So is that what I'm missing? Because I'm just running in blatantly.
What you are missing is the multiplayer aspect of it.
Okay.
The campaign is fun, but you can set that on easy. You can coast through the game and get the story if you want. What made Halo was multiplayer and Forge mode, the replayability
Custom
of it.
Games, baby.
Custom games was where it was at.
That's where your friends became enemies, and then like immediately after the game ended, we're back to friends. Like you would hate that person and be like, all right, next round.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the game ends, game over. All right, you want to do another round of SWAT? You want to go do some griff ball? What are you feeling?
SWAT is my game.
Dude, SWAT is where it was at. And me and Duck, he was going through some of the campaigns and he was bitching about it the whole time.
Absolutely.
I was like, okay, buddy, let's find a night. You and me are going to sit down. We're going to play some Halo Reach multiplayer. And by the end of it, you sounded like you were having fun.
I had a fucking blast. And that's where I was like, this is awesome. This is the Halo that I wanted to experience. Even though I was terrible at it, even though I got like 0 kills, even though I'd never got a grift ball or whatever it's called into the goal, I had a blast playing it. And there's
so many ridiculous game modes. Even if you're not good at SWAT or team deathmatch or things like that, we'll just go have a fucking fun time playing Infection. You can run around as a zombie and die over and over and over and over. But that chasing that last human that's alive, that's so much fun.
And when you get like 4 of them just following one person, and he's got 3 shots left. I had so much fun. I used to stay up a little too late at night, still do, but I would have a small CRT TV that I put under my like desk, that I hooked my 360 up behind my desk so that the lights wouldn't show. And I put a blanket behind my chair so the glare wouldn't go out to my door. And I would sit there and I'd play Halo Reach with my buddies for hours. And then one of the best parts about Halo that I think they missed the point in Halo 4 a little bit is the casual aspect of it, where you can have those competitive game modes that are like SWAT, Slayer, Big Team Battle, but there's also Fiesta, King of the Hill, Oddball, Griffball, where you just want to like sit back, have fun, and like joke. It's more like just hanging out with a game than it is playing a game.
Was in Master Chief Collection. I tried so hard to get me and Duck into a game of Griffball, but the closest thing we got to it was like Halo Golf. So you'd have the Gravity Hammer Golf Club, and then what was the other? I think you had an energy sword as well, or no, an assault rifle, and you had to try to get the golf ball into the other team's goal. And even then, it's just so ridiculous. It's so much fun. Yeah, it's great.
They really hit the nail on the head. I felt like Halo 5 missed the mark on a lot of points in the story aspect, but the multiplayer, it had Warzone, casual, and competitive. And competitive, I love SWAT. I'm Diamond 2, baby.
There you go.
In casual, it's just like Fiesta, Big Team Battle, Slayer. Just you get random guns. You get like a rocket launcher and a needler for your starting weapons, and then like every time you die, it swaps to a railgun and a sniper rifle. Just
you could get screwed and get a plasma pistol, or maybe you get lucky and you get a rocket launcher or something. And then it's so much fun.
They really wanted to play into just the fun aspect of community in Halo, where they wanted to just sit down and play a game instead of focus on the game. And I really think 343 is going to try and put that effort into Infinite. From what I saw in the multiplayer trailer, they put a lot of effort into like movement or like techniques versus just like straight up aiming and shooting. Are you good enough at hitting that head? Shoot it.
Yeah, I hope they double down on the newer Halos into especially Forge mode. That was something I dumped so many hours in, especially across Halo 3 and Reach. Forge World, when Reach came out, that blew my damn mind. It was a massive map you could use to build whatever the fuck you wanted. And I don't know about, like, did you have any personal favorite, like, Forge maps when you and your buddies were playing on the 360 back in the day?
So, yes. What I'm trying to think of the name of it now. It was a zombie infection mode, and you would have one person starting at the top, and they would get in a warthog, and they would go down this just like 70-degree angle, and then all the zombies are at the bottom. You have to try and hit them going down. You just get faster and faster and faster and faster. Oh.
So that game mode was so much fun. I forget what it was called, but the way it worked, Duck, was essentially you'd have 8 people. One person would be the zombie down at the bottom, and they would have the gravity hammer and energy swords and stuff like that. Everyone else would be at the top of this big slope. They would get into vehicles, and you would go down the slope. It would teleport you back up, and you just keep doing that. And it was basically, could you rack up enough points and kill enough zombies before the time ran out? Or would the zombies hit you? You'd go bouncing off the walls and explode and become a zombie. And it was, could the zombies kill all the people, or could they survive the time limit? It was so much fun.
Then there was a monster truck where you would just get a bunch of warthogs in a circle that would slowly delete itself over time into a hole with like a suicide ball in the middle, and you'd have to hit each other into it. And then you'd have a Jenga, you'd have a big pile of pallets and one person on top of it, and another person throwing like fusion coils or just barrels at a gravity cannon to try and hit the pieces off of the Jenga tower to make the one person fall.
Yeah.
Damn.
There was 2 maps that sorry, Duck. I promise we'll move off this in just a second. There was 2 maps that I remember my friend group played all the time. I think it was called USA Prison or something stupid like that, where it was basically an escape map. One person would be the warden, and the way we played it is they would tell you whatever the fuck to do, and eventually you'd have to try to escape or get out or something, or they'd just kill everyone. That was fun. But the other one I loved was Duck Hunt.
I was about to say Duck Hunt. Dang it.
Someone made the way that the community used the infection game mode was so damn clever. But what they would do is one person would be in the tower. You'd get a sniper, and I think you also had some other long range weapon too. Maybe it was the beam rifle in Reach or something. But the zombies would be at the bottom of this course, and you had to work your way up through this obstacle course while the unit is in the tower trying to snipe you down. And I remember there was a point, total humble brag here, where I would have to give my friends like a 30-second head start because I could cap them so easy at the entrance. But oh, dude,
it's kind of unfair when you when you've played the same map so often, because you're like, you know where to hit them when it's gonna be like the perfect moment. It's like they're gonna have 3 seconds of visibility right here, and then pop.
Yeah.
There was also did you ever play the Halo maps where there would just be one big long mongoose track that would go closer and closer, and one guy in the middle sniping the person on the track?
That's so good. Yeah. Last thing. Was even some people on the 360 back in the day that would mod some of their own custom game modes in. No fucking clue how they got this to work. There was a fully functioning like Halo chessboard that you could play.
Damn.
Where you were the little guilty spark monitors. You would go down, you'd possess that piece, you'd move it, and then the other person would go possess their piece, and you were playing fucking chess. It glitched out half the time, but it was fun.
The Forge mode just like opened the world to so many amazing and creative ways to play Halo in a different way, like parkour maps, Fat Kid, Foundry, Sandbox. All of these just wide open maps just let you do what you want, and the amount of things that came out of it are insane. I miss Bungie favorites.
Oh yeah.
Damn. No, the passion in which you guys speak about these multiplayer modes is what makes Halo. And like Ethan said before, that's what is missing from my experience from it. The other thing is the community aspect of it. Me and Kay talked about this, red versus blue, and how that really created the beginning of, YouTube videos.
I think it looks like a puma.
When it comes to
stop making up animals. on.
But that content, taking the game, using the in-game camera and recording it, and then turning that into, the little vignettes or whatever you would call them. Who made that again? Was it Rooster Teeth?
Rooster
Yeah, it was
Teeth.
Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, and I
I
mean,
still watch their content like to
My
this
favorite
day.
Red versus Blue thing has to be that short episode they did where Caboose goes into the Halo Reach campaign.
Yeah.
This guy drove up in a Warthog and said, "Get in." So I did. And he said, "Are you 6?" I'm like way older than 6. So I said yes.
but even I have watched at least the beginning of Red versus Blue, and it's fucking great. And Kay, you said up
So
until the
hilarious.
last season they were killing it, and then they kind of dropped the ball.
It wasn't that they dropped the ball. They had like a new take on it, but they still went with Red versus Blue, but it like wasn't really the same characters. It was a different story. A lot of people gave it hate. I personally haven't seen it just because it didn't really interest me. But even they had different arcs. They went like 1 through 5 is the Blood Gulch Chronicles. Then they had 6 through 8 was Forerunner, or not Forerunner. Freelancer Saga was 6 through 8. And then like 9 through 13 was just AI Saga. Then they like went to a new planet and they stopped a civil war. And all the way through that, it was just quality. Like it was just dumb jokes sort of thrown in. And then like as it grew, they actually added character progression and character development and like made it so like, oh, hey, this person has changed. And they actually showed this change.
They really came a long way from just, why are we here? No, I mean, why are we in this canyon?
Man, why do I never get the fucking sniper?
Yeah, that show went so much further than where it started. But
I also liked how
I heard nothing good about the last season.
I liked how Bungie handled it too. According to one of like the original creators, on like episode 6 or something, they had just gotten an email from one of the guys at Bungie, and they're like, "Hey, we know that you're using our product, but you're doing something new with it, and we like it. So if you're not trying to like claim Halo as your own or something, just keep doing it."
Right.
So like they were like, they said credit to Microsoft and Bungie at the end of every episode, and they would obviously like did a lot of partnerships with them. Like when the DLCs first came out for Halo 3 and Halo 2, they had Rooster Teeth do little PSAs for them and just be like, hey, these are new maps coming out to Halo 3, also with Red versus Blue.
They have a fucking
Griffball.
game mode after one of the best characters from the damn show.
Let's see if I still have it here. Haha. I went to RTX and I got 2 stickers. I got hammered at RTX from the Griffball panel.
There you go.
Absolutely insane. And it's so cool that they across the board they kind of felt that way towards their community, because we were talking about the re-release of the PC version of Halo multiplayer. What was it called again? I can't
Master Chief Collection.
No, well, not that. Whenever they did the source port. I can't think what it's called though. But basically, they didn't shut it down. They said it's fine. Go ahead and release it. We'll use it as promotion for the next game that's coming out.
But they're like, you can't do any updates to this. Like we are releasing a product that is doing exactly what you're doing, and that'll take away our sales. And I'm like, I respect what you're doing. I understand.
Yeah,
they totally could have just come in swinging the hammer, but
just lawsuit,
kind of going,
lawsuit.
Guys,
yeah,
we're trying to make money here. Can we just hold it off?
It's the same idea like with Doom, how they release it as shareware and the source code is released and they allow people to kind of mess with it and create new stuff. It's kind of cool.
Playing Doom on a Tesla, it's always fun.
What I was going to say is there is a Halo TV series coming out. Did you guys know this? It's going to be on Showtime.
Yes, I'm hesitantly cautious. I'm heeding my expectations. There's been a couple of good, like Halo Infinite was released, or not Halo Infinite, Infinity.
The anime, right?
No, that was Halo Legends, which was decent.
That's right.
And it had like different directors doing different stories, and it was pretty good, but not really big. And then it was the one that was leading into Halo 4.
Forward
was
Unto
talking
Dawn.
About Forward Unto Dawn. That
one. I loved it.
I liked it. It was just kind of like it didn't have the budget it deserved, because people feel like, video game movies never really work. That's because they always try to copy the game, and you can't take a 10-hour campaign and put it into an hour-and-a-half movie.
The last few episodes of that were definitely the weaker ones, but the story they were telling of these recruits going in and learning how to be the proper soldiers, and the sudden surprise of, oh shit, we're under attack. It's not insurrectionists. It's the fucking Covenant. It's aliens. What the fuck? It was really good up through, I think, like episode 4 or 5. But yeah, had it had a higher budget, I think it would have been amazing. So if
that's why
the new series does something like that,
I'm very hesitant, because with Showtime, they should have the budget for it. And like they're bringing in a couple of characters that are only in the books that have like very interesting like backstories. I think like one guy is a former Spartan dropout, became an insurrectionist. They have like they have so much potential, so much ways to go about this and not talk about the games. I think that's how you could do a proper video game, like TV show or movie, is you don't talk about the game, you expand on the universe, because that's what people like to play into. They like to like learn about, like if there was a Fallout video game or a Fallout movie, I would want it to be about a new vault dweller from like Texas or something. That'd be cool.
Explore somewhere else that the games will most likely not go.
Exactly. And that's why I'm very hesitant to talk about the TV show.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask is, for somebody like me who is not indoctrinated and loving this, and I'm still not, but hearing you guys talk about it for an hour and a half, I want to so much more. I want the enthusiasm. I want the passion. I think I screwed up. You don't start with Halo 1. Even though I got the Master Chief Collection and Ethan warned me, don't start with Halo 1, and I was an idiot. I was like, I've got to start in chronological order. Where
you start with the one
started?
that's going to get you hooked.
Which
I don't know. I would play Halo 1 got me hooked, bro. Halo 1 got me hooked.
Well, here's the problem. I don't like the way the games look, and that's always been my issue. So what I loved about the Master Chief Collection is you can do the original Xbox graphics, or you can do the 360 remake graphics. And I tried to do it on the original graphics, and I couldn't do it. I played like a level and a half. And then I did the updated graphics, which are much more colorful and more in line with what the series became eventually. I like it. But I think that if I started with Halo 3 or Halo Reach, I think I would have been better off.
Probably.
I think I should have started with Reach, and that's what Ethan initially told me to start with.
As far as the multiplayer goes, Reach, I would say, of the 4 has the most solid. People will argue with me, I'm sure, because there are diehard Halo 3 fans that is all they play. But
still.
3 or Reach, that is, still. So 3 or Reach, I think you would have had a better introduction to the series. And honestly, if you can get a group to play Halo 3, even just 2 or 3 other people to join you online for an hour or two, that'll get you hooked, and that'll get you more comfortable with the controls, the gameplay, that sort of thing. And then you can go delve into the other games and see where it came from, where the story started, all of that.
I would say like Reach, because Reach's story is my favorite. Not like to play. Halo 2 is my favorite game to play, but Halo Reach's story is like, it's different than the rest of them. When you play as the Master Chief, you're the Master Chief. You are the fucking end all demon to these aliens that you're killing. When you're playing Halo Reach, you're Noble 6. You're just a Spartan. And that's like something you kind of have to feel in game and like see happening to you to really hit harder. That's why like I wouldn't recommend Reach as the first one, because it gives you like a sense of like, oh shit.
So which one do you think I should start with again?
Again, 3.
Yeah,
3 will get you. 3 will definitely get you hooked on, and also multiplayer. Multiplayer is fun as hell on Reach. I think I have like 1,600 hours into Halo 3 or Halo Reach multiplayer. It's ridiculous.
Dude, I wish we could have brought all of our stats and gear and stuff over from the 360 days. That would have saved me so much work. Because
when you registered on if you registered on Bungie.net, when they turned it into Waypoint, when they turned it into Waypoint, because I could still see. Oh no, I see my Master Chief Collection stats. I don't see the 360 stats. I lied to you.
My headset died.
Oh,
very sad.
He said that you can't bring over your stats. So
well, it would be awesome if we could. Because I'll tell you what, the grind up to, I think I got, what was it, General Grade 4 or something in Reach. That was insane. And those people who just fucking no-lifed their ass all the way up to Inheritor, fuck you. Fuck you, your flaming skull helmet, all of that. Fuck you. Because I wanted that bad.
I remember getting on like 2 years after, and I was like, oh, Halo 4 is out. I'll play some Halo Reach. I got like 2 inheritors and a Nova, and I'm like, I'm gonna hate this.
My life. What is life?
All right. So, Kay, what we do is we give games a rating based upon Sonic the Hedgehog, with a S being top tier and an E being crap. So what we need to do is we need to rate what we feel each of us, Halo as a series, as a whole, we can do. What rating you would give it?
The series?
Yeah, we'll just do the whole
So
series.
from Reach, the Bungie Halo games, Reach
Okay.
to 3.
Reach to 3.
ODST.
As a series, we'll do what we think. I'm going to go first because you guys are going to probably give it a higher score. I'm going to give it a B+. And the reason why is because I have difficulty getting into it, but I will admit when I am playing it, I enjoy it and I think about playing it. And that is a far jump from where I was, which was fuck Halo. I want nothing to do with this bullshit game, to holy shit, you know what? There's something here. I just haven't caught the spark that I need yet. So I'm going to give it a B+. Okay. Ethan, what are you thinking?
Reach and 3 are easily S ranks for me, but as a whole, the series is an A+ for me.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic. I think it grew into something amazing. 1 and 2 are a bit dated, more so 2 than the first one, but they're all worth your time going back and playing. I think they're fantastic. And with Master Chief Collection, you have no fucking reason not to go back and play these games to this day.
I'm gonna put on my objective glasses here and try to just speak as objectively as possible. But I agree with Ethan. I'm gonna put it at A+. The community it created, the world building it brought, and just the impact it had on video games as an industry is like, you can't debate it. It has made a huge impact throughout all video games, and I think it's definitely worth everyone's time to at least look at the game, to like be like, or try it.
I mean, you got to look at the fact that it brought its own mascot. It carried how many generations of Xbox?
Every generation of Xbox.
I mean,
it carried the Xbox.
It carried the Xbox.
It is
like,
Xbox at this point, man.
You have to look at that and say there's something there. And I think it's just a matter of, I didn't catch my attention at the beginning, but now that I'm older and now that I see how sci-fi it is actually playing the games, because I always just thought it was a military game. And I didn't realize that you were killing aliens and like there was all this lore and backstory we went into, and it just changes my perspective. So definitely say, give it a try. I'm still going to play some of the games. The multiplayer, I'm down to play 100%. But with that said, I think that was an awesome look at Halo.
Yeah.
Kay, thank you so much for bringing the
Dude,
the
you
lore
were
and
the
bringing
powerhouse
power.
of this
Yes.
cast.
Yeah.
Thank you
Like,
guys
my
so much
man.
for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And we'll have you back when we do Fallout, 100%.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'll switch my background to the vault symbol.
there you
Boom.
go.
With that said, thank you guys so much for listening. But we got to remind you, as always, Ethan, you know this, and
What
Kay,
do I know?
you're about to know this, that
Oh.
everyone out there needs to know this. That you want to do it, Ethan? Tell them. Let them
Sorry,
know.
there was a big old bolt of lightning. I was just like, what the fuck?
That's the world
God
telling
doesn't want you to know.
God wants you to know. You ain't Billy Mitchell, bitch.
What?
So just stop trying.
Stop trying. It's our tagline. You ain't Billy Mitchell, bitch.
Everyone does that. Just what?
You ain't Billy Mitchell, bitch.
You know
You
who
ain't Billy Mitchell,
is?
bitch.
Billy Mitchell. Do you know who Billy Mitchell is, Kay?
I have zero idea. I just love the fact
Billy-
that everyone's been like, what?
Billy
Every
Mitchell
single
is,
time.
Billy Mitchell is the guy who holds the high score in Pac-Man. And we decided that our tagline would be, you ain't Billy Mitchell, bitch, so stop trying. So I used to post shit online with hashtag Billy Mitchell, but then he started liking our stuff. And I got scared. We're going to try to get him on a cast someday so we can be like,
I mean,
you are
there's no
Billy
way
Mitchell,
he's-
bitch. And there it is. Thank you again so much for checking out the podcast today. If you enjoyed it, head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and iTunes, and give We Are Podcast Network a like. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, you're going to love the other podcasts here on the We Are Podcast Network. We Are Air, where we talk movies, entertainment, whatever the fuck we want to talk about. That's me, that's Jake, and that's Javi. We're breaking down that pop culture, and we're having so much fun. Heroes, Gyros, 8 Dungeons, and Distractions side quest. Me and the boys were playing some D&D. You can start that one from Season 1, Episode 1. It's a blast the whole way through. And I Hate Being Sober. Personal stories from epic people. I sit down with some of my favorite people of all time. We talk about their trials, their tribulations, and their journey this far. And finally, our new live video podcast, Slash Horrorcast, where we're going to have a roundtable discussion about our favorite horror movies. That'll be available on Twitch and YouTube, streaming every Monday at 8 p.m. Check the links in the description to find out what movies we'll be watching. Also, check the links in the description for our social media. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast Network. With that said, thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. Please remember to support local comedy in any way that you can. We'll see you next time.